Well, welcome again to Varsity Sports Live. Tom Neiman along with Jason and Dara. And how was your game tonight? Harrisburg Mitchell, our live game here on Midco Sports Network.
It was good. It shows how close 11A, AA is going to be in the playoffs, because I think we're going to have a ton of great games like this one was. A lot of momentum swings. Keel Nelson went down with an injury, but the Harrisburg sophomore quarterback, he was impressive. On his 6 completions was very impressive.
Austin Kerr came in at quarterback
for Mitchell, yeah.
Harrisburg won the game 21-17, but the big schools in South Dakota, one more regular season game, and then we get into the playoffs next week on Thursday. North Dakota's got 9-man playoffs tomorrow.
This week, yes.
Let's get to the scoreboards, and then we'll get to West Fargo. And Jody Norstedt with the North Dakota stuff tonight. Sioux Falls O'Gorman at Rapid City Stevens. Zach Norton had 5 touchdown passes on the first 5 scores for O'Gorman.
School record.
And they are rolling right now, 62-7 in the fourth quarter. Pierre and Roosevelt, highlights of this one coming up. Roosevelt got out to a 26-0 lead. Pierre came back, took the lead with about 3 minutes to go.
Sounds familiar.
And then Roosevelt scored with under a minute and a half to go, and the Riders pulled out 39-34. We got the highlights and some post-game from that game coming up as well. Rapid City Central and Washington are still going at Howard Wood Field in Sioux Falls. Tupac Capella did get his 3rd touchdown tonight, is that right?
He did. He set the all-time record for 11-man football. Hopefully we'll have some highlights of that coming up very soon.
All right, Washington leading Rapid City Central late in the 4th there. Brandon Valley takes care of Yankton. Thomas Skolton, a couple of touchdown passes early, and the Lynx get to 6-2 on the season. Highlights of that one coming as well. Watertown is 6-2. They beat Aberdeen Central tonight 34-20. Lincoln and Brookings, as far as we know, still tied 7-7 in the second half of that game. We'll try to get an update as we get along here tonight on Varsity Sports Live. Harrisburg and Mitchell, the live game we had here tonight, the Tigers pulled that one out 21-17, 3 touchdown passes for Jack Tigan, and we'll take a look at that game as well. Huron, Jet McGurr was in on all 4 of those touchdowns for Huron, had a couple on the ground, had a pick 6, and Huron gets even at 4-4 on the season with a 28-0 win tonight in Huron, and Sturgis over Pine Ridge 42-22. In 11A, Jandy, Madison all over Tri-Valley tonight, 49-18. Max Hodgin, by the way, 72 wins as the head coach at Madison. He passes Jerome Gary, who was the head coach there for a long time.
For the most at the school record, yeah.
All right, Dakota Valley, #1 team in 11A. They get to 8-0, 50-18 tonight over Lennox. It was T-Area on top of Sioux Falls Christian. Christian had an early lead there, and then T-Area came back and won it by 20. T-Area gets to 7-1 on the season. Canton, the #1 team in 11B, they are unbeaten at 8-0 after a win over Wagner tonight, 48-12. Now we get into 11B here. Bridgewater Emory Ethan. This is the last regular season games in 11B and 9-man in South Dakota. Bridgewater Emory Ethan 7-1 after their win over Sioux Valley tonight. Beresford on top of Mount Vernon Plankinton. I don't know if this is an upset or not, Jandy, but Beresford gets to 6-2. That's the first.
It's by the numbers, but Beresford's been tough this year.
That first loss of the season for Mount Vernon Plankinton as they go down 41-24. Webster area 6-2 as they beat Dakota Hills tonight 46-8. Arlington Lake Preston, one of the top teams in 9AA, a win over Coleman Egan tonight. Arlington Lake Preston is 8-0. Garretson on top of Canastota Freeman. This is one of the matchups you were looking at, Jandy. Garretson gets to 8-0. That's the first loss of the year for Canastota Freeman.
Yeah, a couple undefeated teams, and I'll tell you what, those Blue Dragons, they might be a team to watch in 9AA.
All right, Burke over Alcester Hudson 30-12. That's just the second loss of the season for Alcester Hudson. Bonham, by the way, beat Platte Geddes tonight, Jandy.
Joey Slamma, another big night.
Bonham is 7-1 on
7-1
season. All right, North Dakota scores tonight. Bismarck beats Bismarck Century. This was a battle of the unbeatens. Bismarck wins it 36-22. Jody's got highlights of this game coming up. Bismarck stays unbeaten at 8-0 and 5-0 in the WDA. West Fargo Cheyenne on Thursday night, the win over Grand Forks Red River 44-12. Jody's got highlights of that one coming as well. Fargo North tonight gets even at 4-4 with a win over Mandan 25-14. Thursday night, Davies over South. And both of those teams get to 5-3 on the season. Also on Thursday night in North Dakota, West Fargo over Grand Forks Central. Both of those teams 2-6 on the year. And Thursday night, Minot, a shutout win over Dickinson. Minot gets to 3-5 on their season. In 2A in North Dakota, Fargo Shanley tonight over Wahpeton, 38-0. Shanley is 8-0. Bismarck St. Mary's just gets by Central Cass, 14-7. St. Mary's is 7-1. Central Cass 6-2 on the season. And Jamestown beat Devils Lake 35-6. Jamestown is 5-3. Jody's got highlights of that game coming as well. Valley City shuts out Watford City 52-0. And in Class A, last regular season games here. This one will be on Saturday. Oak Grove and Hillsborough Central Valley. Hillsborough Central Valley goes into that one 7-0. Langdon, Edmore, Munich 34-0 tonight over Park River, Fordville, Lincoln. So Langdon gets to 8-0 in their regular season. In Velva, Minot, Bishop Ryan, and Velva go to overtime, tied at 28. Minot Ryan pulls it out, so Minot Bishop Ryan is 8-0 as well. So is Bowman County, 28-20 win tonight over Beulah. And a couple other Class A scores. Carrington on top of Central Dakota. Carrington is 7-1, and Kindred gets to 6-2 with a win over Lisbon tonight, 22-0. And again, the nine-man games tonight because their playoffs start on Saturday in North Dakota. And Jody Norstedt will be all over it, and he was all over it again tonight. He's got his microphone on. He's ready to go.
I was gonna mention that, guys. Look at this. This note. I don't know if you can see it. It's put mic on.
Gotcha. Can hear you. How are you?
It's all downhill from there.
How are you, Jody? You had a big night last night and then again tonight, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about last night first. But again, like you guys mentioned, big one tonight. Bismarck and Century squaring off 1 versus 2. We'll get to those highlights in a second. But there is a ton on the line at Fargo Davies. A win for South, and the Bruins keep pace with Cheyenne for first, but a loss would push them back to third and likely cost them a home playoff game because Davies would move in front and own the tiebreaker going into the final week of the regular season. Last year when these two teams played, it came down to a gritty fourth quarter. Davies took a lead, then South took it right back. That was a classic, so is this one. Isaac Balvich follows some good blocking. Eagles up 7-0 less than 3 minutes in. You couldn't paint a worse start for the Bruins. First offensive play, Danny Lahide takes the handoff. Ty Satter lights him up, forced fumble. Eagles recover, and they score. Brent Vetter scampers in. Makes it 14-0 before the hand warmers were even activated. In my gloves, but Tyler Coles's Bruins show composure. Final play of the first quarter, Wyatt Hansen to Robert Leslie with a somersault for the score. Lead cut in half, but the Davies offense continues to soar. Satter already with a forced fumble and 2 extra point kicks. The EDC's leading receiver scores a rushing touchdown. He's one of the top prospects in the 2020 class for North Dakota. Ensuing drive, South marches down to the goal line. 3rd and goal, Hansen tosses a jump ball to Dawson Weisenberger, but Satter grabs it too. It looked like they both had possession going to the ground. The ref rules it an interception. Huge momentum swing. Slow it down for a second look. You can be the judge. Boy, that's an extremely difficult call to make. Weisenberger obviously frustrated. Davies up 20-7 at half. Bad sight to start half 2 for South. EDC leading rusher Danny Lahai left the game with an apparent leg injury, didn't return. Sibumana Enoch in his place runs it in for the score, cutting the lead to 6 early in the third. Davies goes 3 and out. South with a chance now to take the lead, but they botch a handoff. Reed Hartness with the biggest fumble recovery of his life. Eagles capitalize after a long Balvich run on 3rd down, gets them to the goal line. Jesse Forknell dives in, making it 27-14. Then with 4:30 left, Balvich puts the exclamation point on it. The junior running back finishes with 118 yards and 2 scores. The Eagles face some adversity midway through the game, but find a way to grind out a massive win in the snow, 33-14.
We had a drought in the middle of that game where we weren't scoring, but I mean, we were playing against a good football team where that's going to happen. I just kept telling our guys, we're going to make plays. They're going to happen. They're going to make plays too because they're, one good team. But, we trusted ourselves, we trusted each other especially, and that's what got it done.
Another game with high stakes. Cheyenne trying to stay in first place of the EDC while Red River needed an upset to keep its playoff hopes alive. This one moved to Shanley last night because of field conditions. I think the Mustangs like the turf. They're getting their own next year. The offensive line trading holes all night. Nathan Goldaddy, the beneficiary of that one. Hunter Hoffner muscling his way into the end zone to finish off that drive. 7-zip Mustangs. The next drive for Cheyenne. Parker Sander finds Tyler Terhart for the long completion down the sideline. Tyler's thinking a couple more yards and that's a touchdown. Come on, man. Instead, it's who's daddy? Goldaddy. Plunging in from the 1. The Mustangs are up 13-0. Cheyenne scoring on its first 6 possessions. Here, Goldaddy with a powerful run. He had 126 yards and 3 touchdowns on 12 carries last night. An easy 1-yard run here makes it 19-0 Mustangs. How about that man again, number 34? Laser focus in those eyes. He's barely touched on this. 43 yards to the end zone, and the Mustangs are rolling. Probably a good reason why he has so many stickers on that helmet. How about some defense? It's a bad pitch here, and look at Harrison Hintz chasing it down for the recovery. Everyone giving the big 7-7 some love. Nice work, Harry. Everything was clicking last night for the Mustangs. Sander to Caden Jastrom from 28 yards, and it's 32-0 in favor of the home team. Goldaddy finishes the game with 126 yards and 3 touchdowns and just 12 carries. That's a game ball nominee. Sheyenne wins 44-12, takes over sole possession of first place in the conference. Afterward, it was props to the big guys up front.
They're the dogs, man. They get everything going up front for us. They set the tempo for the whole game. They get the whole game rolling for us. They do good. They do their job. Our backs, our wide receivers, quarterback, whatever it may be, we do our thing.
I believe our team can go all the way, but you know, it starts in practice, and we just got 100% and take it day by day.
Y'all ready for the heavyweight championship? 1 versus 2 in the state. Bismarck Century taking on Bismarck High. The Demons #1, the Patriots #2, settling the top seed in the WDA. Will Madler, 3-year starting quarterback, is unbelievable. Hits Joe Johnner for the touchdown. Bismarck High up 6-0. Cade Feeney trying to answer, goes through the air to Skylar Reininger. 2 touches with the hands and he hauls it down, and then it's Cade Feeney on the ground, the dual threat QB that he is. He gets the job done on the ground. 75 yards rushing for Feeney on the night. That makes it 7-6 Century. Will Madler answers with a short run of his own. 2-point conversion good. Now Bismarck High goes up 14-7. Century has a pretty good ground game though. Nathan Kraft has the Thunder. Grant Anderson, this man, is the Lightning, and he's into the end zone. We're tied up at 14. This is all in the first half. But here comes Bismarck's passing offense again. We knew the key would be if Century could get pressure on Will Madler and contain him. This isn't going to help matters. Madler finding Joe Johnner again. Those two hooking up for 2 scores tonight. Bismarck High up 20-14 at the break. Flexing their muscle as the #1 team in the state. And boy, in the second half, they really flexed it. Isaiah Olson with the touchdown run. 2-pointer failed, but it's still a 26-14 lead. Then it's Jared Hager getting in on the action. Just so many weapons for this Bismarck offense. They're up 34-14 at the end of the third quarter. The best player on defense was the guy who made that block. Canyon Stonecipher blocks the Feeney punt, and they get a safety out of this. How about that? Bismarck High rolls Bismarck Century, pulls away, I guess I should say. Didn't roll them, but they pull away in the second half for the 36-22 win. Will Madler, 8-16, 262 yards, 2 scores. Joe Johnner lighting up the stat sheet tonight. Same with Isaiah Olson as Bismarck takes down Century for the top spot in the WDA.
We haven't beat Century in a few years. They've had our number. I think they're really well coached, and we came out here and played a pretty well game.
Feels really good. We have something special going on here, and we want to keep that rolling, so it feels really good.
Fargo North was able to clinch its first playoff berth since 2010 last night with Red River losing, but it was back to work tonight. Spartans visiting Mandan. Braves in the postseason for the first time since 2011. Braves starting QB Dane Carlson got injured last week. Jace Lohman knows who his favorite target is. That's Elijah Klein. 50-yard TD, 7-0 Mandan at the end of the first. Klein is a 6'7" monster, but Mandan was hurting tonight without Carlson. North punches right back. Jeremy McIntyre takes it in for the score. Extra point. No good though, so Mandan still up 7-6 on its home turf. Mandan comes right back with a long pass to Klein, and I told you he was a monster. Here's proof. WDA's top receiver makes it 14-6 Braves midway through the second. Klein with a grin on his face returning to the sideline, but North makes sure he didn't get the last laugh. Check out this catch. Keaton Hogue one-handed from Caleb Friddle for the score. Into the fourth we go. Peyton Fisher takes this rush and takes it to the house. 40 yards, making people miss, good blocking, and this is when Fisher really takes over this game for Fargo North. Not to be denied on the road in this one. Fisher really starting to rumble. He scores again with under 4 minutes left to make it 25-14. That is the final as North gets a huge non-conference win before jumping back into EDC play next week.
Definitely carries some momentum into it. we've had 2 great team wins lately, so we want to carry that into the 3rd game, obviously, and then into the playoffs.
Let's move to a busy and meaningful night in Class 2A. Second to last week of the regular season, Shanley could punch his ticket as the #1 seed with a victory over Wahpeton. Give them all sorts of fits last year, Wahpeton did, and Joe Cava, he's a monster too. I've said that word a few times tonight. Gobbles up Isaac Wohlers for the tackle for the loss. Deacon's offense gets the ball and scores. Cade Busek, touchdown run. He's done that a few times this year. 6-0. First play, Shanley's second possession. Austin Manuel takes the pitch, cuts upfield, and he's loose. Watch Moonzero Desire, though, chase him down for Wahpeton, but it's too late. Manuel scores on the 51-yard touchdown for a 12-0 lead. The Deacons in command on both sides of the ball. Wohlers looking to pass on 4th down, and Tallenhofer camping underneath for the interception. Troy Mattern went from happy to frustrated, though, because late in the half, his offense got bottled up. They reached the red zone, but Busek's pass tipped and picked by Desire. Sounds like a good music album, Picked by Desire. That's how the first half wraps up. 12-0 Shanley, but nothing desirable for Wahpeton in the second half. Shanley laid the hammer down, scoring 26 unanswered for the 38-0 win. As we take a look at the scoreboard, they clinched the top seed in the state playoffs. So that result meant tonight's showdown in Castleton was for #2 and the other first-round bye available in Class 2A. The 3rd-ranked Squirrels trying to beat 2nd-ranked St. Mary's for the first time. They're 0-3 against the Saints all time. And here we go. This is Drew Dosh running it for the touchdown for St. Mary's. Later on in the game, Dosh firing back, and this is Jackson Wiseman. Wiseman gets to the end zone, but penalty takes it away. Turnovers, the theme of the night in this one between both teams. Dosh now on the option. Pitch gets away. Central Cass recovers. Another fumble stalls a drive. To the 4th quarter we go. Not a lot of scoring in this one. Central Cass driving. Junior Tote gets to the edge and takes it to the house, but a holding penalty brings it back. Are you kidding me? Fans with their hands on their head. 2 plays later, Jonah Leitz, he's not going to be able to handle this snap. It looked like he was sprinting right away. Reese Barnard scoops it up for St. Mary's and returns it to the 40. Still 7-0. Under 4 to go. St. Mary's on the 1. Ben Schmidt punches it in on the fullback dive. 14-0 St. Mary's. Central Cass not done. 30 seconds to go. Leitz hits Andrew Volk for the touchdown, so it's 14-7 St. Mary's. Still a little bit of life for the home team. They're going to go for the onside kick. Take a look. Dosh secures it. The QB, boy, how about that for leadership? St. Mary's hangs on for the 14-7 win, improving to 7-1 on the year. They lock up the #2 seed.
And our defensive coach and our defensive kids did a phenomenal job tonight. We offensively, we had a tough night. We didn't take care of the football. I think we had 5 turnovers. And you don't usually win against a good team with 5 turnovers. That's how well our defense played.
It means a lot to us. It shows how good we can be. We didn't play to our best potential. If we played to our best, that game was a lot farther apart than it was. So it really showed how good we could be.
So St. Mary's with a big win, still plenty to be decided for playoff spots 4 through 6 in AA. Jamestown Devils Lake tied for that 4th spot entering the night, and it was the Firebirds defense making their presence known as Colin Schneider makes a sack on the Blue Jays' first possession. Later in the first is the Jays offense that gets it going. Tommy Falk finds Jeremy Williams for the 14-yard reception. Look at the mud on the jerseys. Everyone needs turf, don't they? No, actually I like having to wash some jerseys every once in a while. In the second quarter now, Falk and Williams on the same play to the far sideline, 15 yards this time. And how about Falk to Williams one more time? This time it's a handoff. Williams in from 13 yards out, and it's 8-0 Jamestown after the PAT. He filled in nicely for leading rusher Brandon Dullman, who suffered a serious ankle injury last week. After the TD, it's Jamestown with the onside kick. They recover, but not so fast. The ball has to hit the ground on an onside kick in high school, so the Firebirds get the ball with some really good field position. Ben Heilman finds Josh Dolan, and the Firebirds are in business on this gain. Dolan escaping a few tackles and picking up a nice chunk of change. A few plays later, it's Joey Hornstein, one of the best running backs in Class 2A. Hornstein takes the handoff, and Hornstein finds the end zone, 15 yards right in front of the cameraman, a Devils Lake native, Zach Hoffner shout out, but it's still 8-6 Jamestown after the failed 2-pointer. Next drive, it's a Falk Williams connection again. There's still mud on his jersey, but it doesn't matter. 60 yards. The Blue Jays take a 15-6 lead into the locker room and never look back, winning 35-6 in Jamestown. Clinches the 4 seed in a home playoff game. How about that win for the Blue Jays? We travel back up to Park River tonight. The Aggies welcome number 2 Langdon Edmore Munich to town for the final game of the Class A regular season. Late in the first quarter, with a wad of grass in his helmet, Simon Romfo, check that out, slings it to Jackson Delvo on the sideline. Keep the chains moving. That play would set up good field position for Langdon to try the same thing again, and it works. Delvo a la Chris Carter here. These kids are too young for that reference. A la Adam Thielen, I guess. Tiptoe catch for the TD. Hard not to love that. Cheerleaders showing their appreciation. Next Aggie possession, Adam Zavalny finds Ethan Chalik, who gets the ball knocked loose into the hands of Carter Curry of the Cardinals. Second quarter, Langdon Edmore Munich capitalizes on the turnover. Romfo on the QB keeper makes it 12-0. These Romfo twins are going to rule Region 2 for the next few years. Just sophomores. Everyone trying to stay warm. Park River trying anything to just find a spark for the offense. A double reverse, Jace Fontaine to the QB. Adam Zavalny dragging a few defenders for a first down, but Langdon was on a mission to sharpen up for the postseason. They go 60 yards in 40 seconds to end the half. Sean Getty hauls in the touchdown pass. Last year's runner-up finishes a second straight perfect regular season with a 34-0 win. Out west, a battle to decide. Region 3 as Bishop Ryan made the drive down Highway 52 to Velva for a battle of unbeatens. Last year, Velva won this game 42-13. Talk about picking up where they left off. Gage Florence breaks out this 86-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage. The fans were going nuts. What a start. Same score in the second quarter. Lions knotted up with the old switcheroo. Nick Sanders in a QB throws to the starting QB, Ben Bull, who makes the juggling catch. Bull can do just about everything. He's had some monster games this year, 7-6 visitors. Back come the Aggies, knocking on the door. Florence lets himself in for his second touchdown of the game, and the Aggies have the lead again. This game was back and forth throughout. 2 undefeated teams just slugging it out. Bull rolls out, connects with Logan Merck for the TD. This game went to overtime where Bull hit Merck again for the touchdown. The Aggies answered with a Hayden Lee touchdown catch as we take a look at the score, but they were stopped on the go-ahead 2-point conversion attempt, giving you that final score. Bishop Ryan wins it 35-34. They get revenge. Ben Bull with 4 touchdowns passing, 1 reception. He might be a game ball nominee as well. Bishop Ryan gets the job done, cinching up the Class A Region 3 title. Guys,
nice game.
Boy, that was busy, but Bismarck, flexing its muscle, is the dominant team right now in pretty much the entire state for Class 3.
I remember you picked that at the beginning of the year, Jody.
Who did that, right? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be tough to slow those guys down.
Nice job.
All right, thanks, Joe. We'll get back to you in a little bit. When we come back, though, we'll get to South Dakota's highlights tonight. Roosevelt and Pierre in a great game at Howard Wood Field. A record tonight for Tupac Capella at Sioux Falls, Washington. Highlights from Yankton and Mitchell and T area and Mount Vernon and all over the place when we come back.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics, Farmers Union Insurance Agency, South Dakota State University, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. And by the way, Bonham beat Platte Geddes tonight, 56-8 or something like that. Bonham is 7-1 on the season. Jandy had a blog this week about how he went at the beginning of the season and predicted the final regular season record for every football team in high school in South Dakota, and got a lot of them close and right. And there were some you didn't, so you put out a...
I apologize to 10 teams in order of apologies, and Bonham and Hot Springs were the 2 that I just messed up.
All right, good for Bonham. They are 7-1 as they head into the playoffs. Let's get to the South Dakota stuff tonight, Jandy, and starting with Pierre and Sioux Falls Roosevelt at Howard Wood Field. It looks beautiful out there. It was really cold, but anyway, Pierre, the #1 team in 11 AA. Roosevelt at 5-2 coming into this one. The Governors fumble here. Tyler Feldkamp picks it up for a touchdown, and Pierre turned it over constantly. They had 5 turnovers in the first half.
All in the first half, 4 of them in the first quarter, and Roosevelt coming off of 2 losses, remember, after being the undisputed #1 team in the state. They came out with some confidence here, Tom. They threw the ball well. They took the ball away on defense. They got it going.
He had that touchdown. Dannenbrink to Jacob Betancourt.
Freshman, by the way.
Kyrie Nave on a touchdown to make it 26-0. Roosevelt in the lead. And then Pierre starts the comeback. Garrett Stout to Gage Gehring for the first score on the comeback. And then Stout to Jack Maher. And it's 26-13 at halftime.
You gotta love the resiliency. They could have easily folded up shop and shut this thing down. But the Pierre Governors, they were here to fight. And Brady Dannenbrink kept his team in, by the way. A little run. This is what we wanted to see out of you, Brady.
Yeah, Roosevelt goes back up 33-13 after that Dannenbrink touchdown. But Stout to Maher again. Jack Maher, his second touchdown. Big, lanky wide receiver. That goes 42 yards. So it's 33-20. And then on fourth down, Stout to Zane Schuchard. And it's 33-27. And then Pierre gets the ball back. There's about 3.5 minutes left. Stout again to Schuchard, and the Governors take the lead at 34-33.
Garrett Stout, I mean, what a job he has done from not being the starter on opening day to coming big performances like this.
Roosevelt does answer, though. They got a big pass from Dannenbrink to Betancourt to get it back down the field. Dannenbrink with the touchdown there, and the Rough Riders close it out. They got an interception from Devlin McManus. McManus had 3 interceptions in this game, and Pierre turned it over 7 times, I think, was the total for turnovers.
I had 5 on the note I had, but
all right,
you could be right on that. I mean, it was 5 for sure.
5 in the first half, and then they had an interception.
McManus was huge. Feldkamp was huge. They both didn't play last week, and for them to carry over into the second half and fight off the Governors was tough. Let's hear from the Riders right after this game.
All the time in practice, it's easy stuff. We've worked on it 100 times, going down and just stringing a drive together. And that's all my mentality was, just
Good
find
evening,
a way to
ladies
get
and gentlemen, and welcome to Howard with you.
Usually we have Aaron, our other quarterback, punch it in there, but I just knew that I needed to find a way to get in there wherever way possible. It's pretty nice when I have my big D line.
We will start with our cheerleaders.
He's talking about Devontae Murphy, who blew up some holes playing a little fullback tonight.
Dannenbrink's got all kinds of skills, though, and good for Roosevelt. They come back and win this one. But
put it together.
Stout and Maher and those guys at Pierre, this was a pretty good performance, but Roosevelt pulls it out 39-34. Out in Rapid City tonight, it was O'Gorman at 7-0, taking on Stevens at 1-6. And I'm going to read from the book of Tim Riley, our Rapid City correspondent. The undefeated O'Gorman Knights came to Rapid City to meet up with Stevens, and the Knights wasted no time when Zach Norton made a 50-yard run down to the 18-yard line. And
there it is.
3 plays later, Jason, it was Kenyon Bauer who caught the pass and took it in for the early touchdown.
That was a majestic, nice little catch. One of his 3 on the night.
Zach Norton had a bunch of touchdown passes in this one. On the next series, Norton would keep the ball here at midfield. And this is a 40-yard run, takes it down to the 10-yard line. How about Zach Norton emerging as the quarterback for O'Gorman this year?
You know what? The kid can throw the ball, but what a dynamic dual threat to have back there for the Knights.
They took a couple of penalties that would move the ball back, but Norton would hook it up with Jacob Bird, and the Knights would go ahead 14-0.
Very professional, just like this video is being shot.
We love Tim Riley. The Knights had an even running passing game. Evan Whittree all alone there for the Knights' 3rd touchdown of the first quarter. Zach Norton throwing all of these touchdowns. And then in the second period, Stevens kicker Corbin Mahaffey.
That's scary.
They're not sure what happened on that, but he was sacked, and the Knights take over on downs, and then they go to Kenyon Bauer, who scores his 2nd. Zach Norton had 5 touchdown passes in the first quarter and a half, and the Knights win it 62-7.
Yeah, and they just kept piling it on. They ended up bringing Tegan Schlimgen in at the end of the game. Just no contest for the Knights. The Raiders, the season just can't get over fast enough for them.
And they will take on Central next week. Again, O'Gorman will close it out at Brandon Valley in the regular season next Thursday. Washington at home in the late game at Howard Wood Field, taking on Rapid City Central. Central coming off that win over Roosevelt last week. Tupac Capella, this was his night, Jandy. Touchdown there, that's number 60 in his career, going after the record set all those years ago by
61.
Jason Lieber. 2nd of the game, 61 for Capella. It was only a 14-7 game, though. Right, or the Warriors went up 20-7. Wyatt Youngclaws, though, with a touchdown there for Rapid City Central.
The Central Cobblers deciding, you know, we have a passing game. We can use it. Meisman having a good year. But the other quarterback comes back for a 75-yard touchdown run to put things a little further out of reach.
It was only 20-14, but Jaden Johansson there takes it all the way down. And the Warriors lead at 42-21, and then Capella.
Oh boy, here it is.
He had 276 yards on the night. This is his third touchdown. It goes 63 yards for touchdown number 62, Jandy, and that is a new 11-man South Dakota record.
Jason Lieber for Vermilion had the record at 61. He did that in most of 3 seasons. Of course, he played in Class A. In the big class, Tupac Capella has been playing since he's a freshman, and he's still got the yardage record within reach, but that was the all-time touchdown record for 11-man football in South Dakota. Special night for Tupac.
62 touchdowns for Tupac. And how about Rapid City Central? They hang right in there. Washington kind of blew this open late, but Rapid City Central at 3-5 is a pretty good football team.
Yeah, they're not bad.
All right, this is 11 AAA taking on 11 AA. Brandon Valley at Yankton. Brandon Valley at 5-2, and Yankton at 4-3 coming into this one. And after Brandon Valley blocked a punt, Jesse Steffel with a touchdown run.
This guy is so good. Just a junior. Get to know him. He's going to have a breakout season next year. He's already one of the best in my mind this year.
Yankton got a field goal to make it 7-3, but then Thomas Skolton to Cole Siegfried. And the Lynx lead at 14-3. Skolton would go to Carter Olthoff here for another score, Jandy. It's 21-3 at halftime.
This guy's had back-to-back multiple touchdown weeks. He always gets behind the defense. What a weapon to have for Thomas Skolton.
Skolton, we're told, did not play in the second half. He had to go out because of the concussion protocol. There was no scoring in the third quarter, but in the fourth here, that's Tate Johnson, just a sophomore for Brandon Valley. And he makes it 27-3.
The Lynx do this every year. They start rising in the second half of the season, and they really defensively played an outstanding game. That was the first score for, the offense that's put up 77 points last week. They waited until then before they finally got on the board.
Yeah, good throw there. Ethan Wishon throws a nice ball. That was a touchdown to Mike Drotzman. But Caden Johnson here with a pick
Michael
six.
Drotzman, by the way. He told me to say Mike.
Michael Drotzman, my bad. But Caden Johnson there with a pick six. Brandon Valley wins it 34-9 at Yankton. So the Lynx are 6-2, Jason. And let's talk a little bit with Jesse Steffel after this. Let's do it.
I think we're really clicking. I think we've really started to form as one team and not individual players as the year went on. But I think we got a lot in store for this team, and I think we can go far. We got a lot of good matchups. I think we can mix and match. I think we can show them a lot of different things, and I think it's hard for them to predict what we're going to do.
Yeah, it is hard to figure out that Brandon Valley offense when they are so diversified, and defensively, big shout out to the Lynx tonight.
Brandon Valley at O'Gorman. Do they have a chance coming up next week?
You bet they do. Yeah, they are. There's no team that can just put it away right now in AAA, and including O'Gorman. Brandon Valley is right there with them.
All right, that'll be a good game next week. Brandon Valley at O'Gorman to finish out the regular season. All right, Harrisburg and Mitchell. This was the live game tonight on Midco Sports Network. And you're going to take us through this one, Jason.
Yeah, this was fun.
Mitchell had the lead early, right?
First drive of the game, Mitchell runs it every single play, capped off by a touchdown by Carter Max, and they come out on fire on defense as well, getting some sacks. But this Harrisburg team kept chucking the ball down the field, and this is their first drive as well. Converted on a first down there, and then their quarterback, Jack Tigan, goes for one of his 3 touchdowns that were at least 40 yards. To get them up, or tied up 7-7, but Drew Kitchens and company come right back from Mitchell. They take a 14-7 lead going into halftime. Second half action, interceptions were definitely a trouble point in this game for both teams. That was a big one right there for Carter Max. Of course, they turn it right back around and start running the ball with their man. Actually, now it's halftime. Yeah, now it's halftime. They had a big stop right before halftime, by the way. Mitchell had a chance. Harrisburg had a chance to tie it up, and then defense blows it up again. Huge play right there.
Carson Max again, who had had that first touchdown run. Max with the defense, but Tigan, as you said, another long touchdown. That's Jai Rowert down the seam to tie it at 14.
This was the game plan, and they just kept throwing it downfield over and over, hoping that they could get a few to click, and they did. That's exactly how teams have beaten Mitchell this year.
Tigan again, really airing this one out.
One play drive here.
Isaac Brower takes that in, and Harrisburg's got a 21-17 lead. Fourth quarter, though, was kind of iffy for both sides.
Dylan Krogman comes through. Huge sack right there.
Krogman made some plays. Cole Tigan was making plays all over the field for Harrisburg. Fumble there by the Colonels.
This is Keel Nelson is out of the game, by the way.
Keel Nelson went out, and Austin Kerr had to come in at quarterback. Colonels had a drive there in the last moments of the ball game, but Harrisburg holds them out, and the Tigers hang on and win at 21-17.
With just under 2 minutes to go in the game, Mitchell finally completed their first pass of the game, drove down the field, and had a chance. He saw a few plays right at the end that if they would have bounced their way, Mitchell maybe has a chance to go in for a touchdown to win that. But as is, Harrisburg is really taking control to try to get a 1 or 2 seed in the 11AA playoffs.
Right behind Pierre now, and you see the numbers there for Jack Tigan for Harrisburg, and I think we've got some sound from him after the game.
Yeah, I mean, our receivers got open very well. Our offensive line let me throw the ball well, and congrats to our team. They got open. Yeah, got a good win.
Now that's Jack Tigan. He's a sophomore. His older brother, Cole
Tigan, the All-State
great defense tonight.
Defender. He didn't get to be on TV.
We got Jack there, 3 touchdown passes.
Next time, Cole.
For Jack Tigan, Harrisburg goes to 5-3. All right, in it's more 11-man football. T area at home.
Big game.
T 6-1 in 11A. Sioux Falls Christian 6-1 in 11B. And T pulled this play out a couple times tonight. The pitch to Carter Slighthouse and the touchdown throw to Cade Clayberg. And the Titans get out to a 6-0 lead. But Sioux Falls Christian has Parker Nelson.
Yeah, and Parker Nelson hasn't had the numbers type of year that he had last year. He's just now starting to really get into his own, I think, and had a big night tonight against the Titans.
Christian goes ahead 8-6, and they would go ahead 16-6, but Wyatt Van Tol with a touchdown, and then Van Tol to Clayberg again, and T area goes back in the lead 19-16. Sioux Falls Christian had a couple of fumbles late in the ball game. Hunter West hooks it up the traditional passing way here to Trevor Cox for a touchdown. T area pulls away 29-16, and the Titans, after being in a battle early, they pull it out 36-16, Jason.
Tale of 2 halves here.
Yep.
Second half was all T area, and they needed that win after last week's loss, and now really bouncing back in a big way against a good team.
All right, T gets to 7-1, and let's hear from them afterwards.
No, we just got to keep preaching to the guys. You know, you got to play at that level all the time. And Sioux Falls Christian has a good ball club, and we're just fortunate enough to come out on top tonight.
I'm just singing to John Denver there. Rocky Mountain High. It's a high for them. Nice win.
Coach Clayberg there. T is 7-1. They finished up the season at Dakota Valley, and that is going to be a really good game next week.
Yeah, it's going to be, for a huge playoff positioning too, because Dakota Valley is undefeated, and they get bonus points for staying undefeated, but their strength of schedule is not as good, so a loss for them could take them out of even the top 2. So it'd be really interesting.
And Sioux Falls Christian is fine in 11B. They're 6-2. Their regular season is done, but they're going to be in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens with them. All right, Mount Vernon Plankinton in 11B, 7-0, taking on Beresford tonight. Beresford at 5-2, but losses to Bridgewater, Emory, Ethan, and Canton.
Close ones.
And that is forgivable. But Tyler Krapinski to Jack Antonson on a 4th down conversion for Beresford, and then Brad Christensen to Riley Johnson for the score, and Beresford out to a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, Beresford can throw the ball a little bit. They like to control the clock and play good defense, but they can throw the ball a little bit when they need to, and this is the guy they were worried about, Jesse Hastings, one of the best athletes in the state, showing what he can do for Mount Vernon Plankinton.
He played early, but we're told he had to leave the game with a shoulder injury, and then Hayden Hawk with the sneak for the touchdown, and it's 7-6. And then Beresford again, Christensen to Antonson.
Big night.
These guys hooked it up all night. Great looking throw there. Beresford back in the lead 13-6.
Yeah, this Beresford team is for real, and they had to play on the road against an undefeated team. This shows a lot about what they can do.
And then Beresford gets all over it. That fumble in the end zone, and the Watchdogs all over it. They lead at 20-6, and this game would get close though in the end. Titans driving, they mishandle the pitch. Brady Peterson, and this will take a while because he goes back 95 yards for the touchdown, Jandy.
Blake Peterson's brother. Blake is the senior, of course, going to Iowa State next year. It's fun for those two to play with each other.
So Beresford's got a 28-6 lead, but Mount Vernon Plankinton comes back here. Hawk with the score there, 28-12, and then Hunter Pranger will score from 8 yards out. It's 28-18 at halftime after the score by Pranger. And then, third quarter here, Pranger. Nice little run again, going over that left side, and that sets up a Weston Tobin touchdown. And it's a 28-24 game.
One of the good things about the Titans is, as good as Jesse Hastings is, they do not rely on just him. They've got a lot of guys that can run the ball.
So Mount Vernon Plankinton gets within 4, but then that's as close as they would get. Christensen to Antonson again for the third time tonight. Christensen with 3 touchdown tosses on the evening, and they pull away and win it 41-24. So first loss for Mount Vernon Plankinton, and Beresford, a really good team, gets to 6-2.
Makes things a little cloudier in 11B as far as seeding goes, but we'll have that figured out actually in a matter of a couple of hours. They'll come out with the brackets.
All right, one more set of highlights to get to here. Canastota Freeman and Garretson, Jandy. Both these teams undefeated. Garretson in 9AA, Canastota Freeman in 9A.
There's a little pitch to Isaiah Robinson, and they get up 7-0.
Yeah, just a sophomore. Garretson out to the lead there, and then Canastota comes back. Austin Thu had a big night up the middle, and it's 8-7. Second quarter here.
Another big touchdown. This is Brennan Mutter throwing the touchdown in, and Garretson starts to pull away a little bit. And as you can see, Hayden Pierre with the little dive in there to make it happen. And I thought this game would be much closer, to be honest with you. This Canastota team really had, put some impressive wins together, but I think we're finding out here that this Garretson team is a team to be reckoned with.
All right, Austin Thu again had a big night. Canastota Freeman did score on its first drive of the second half. They got it back within 29-16.
That's Tristan Pierce, by the way, with a diving catch. A little toss there from Isaiah Robinson, and they scored from all over the field tonight.
Drew Blasmo had a touchdown catch, made a couple of really good catches there. Isaiah Robinson, that big night for Garretson, and the Blue Dragons get to 8-0, Jandy, in 9AA. And again, you see the playoffs coming up for both of these teams. Canastota Freeman drops their first game there, but they are going to be in the playoff picture in 9A as well.
I think that was Cole Skadson, by the way, who made that last catch. But Garretson's team, I have my eye on now. All of a sudden, they look like a team that could play with some of these other top-level 9AA teams. I don't know. I just didn't ever feel like they had that signature win, but that's a pretty good win tonight.
All right, 9-man and 11B are done with the regular season. Their playoffs get started on Thursday. When we come back, we'll throw it around for some zone coverage, some more post-game reaction from tonight's games in the Dakotas.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics, Farmers Union Insurance Agency, South Dakota State University, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Time for some zone coverage, a little bit more post-game from the coaches after tonight's ball games in the Dakotas. Let's go back to Jody Norstedt in West Fargo. Jody?
Hey guys, how you doing? Obviously the big tilt for us up here, Bismarck versus Century, 1 versus 2. Bismarck was able to pull away for the victory, getting it 36-22, and it really came down to what I kind of thought it would come down to. Will Madler, third-year starting quarterback, a veteran back there, was able to throw 8 of 16 for 262 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he was electric in this game. The Bismarck defense, boy, we gave Century's defensive line a lot of credit. Bismarck's defense is shutting down everybody. So they were able to get the job done. And after losing 4 times in a row, it's about darn time for the Demons to get back on the winning side of this rivalry.
Our kids wanted this game, and we wanted this for a long time. And we came out, executed very well, and I think, all 3 phases of the game we played extremely well, and you're going to have to beat a good team like that. But we wanted this, and, I think the one thing is the big concern for us was, we made a lot of mistakes mentally, and there was some things penalty-wise. You can't do that in games like this, and we survived it, but she's a heck of an effort by our kids tonight.
So we still have to finish the regular season come next Wednesday, but we do know that Bismarck will host Fargo North. North will be the East number 4 seed, and will travel to Bismarck for that first playoff game. The other known thing that we have, Century will be the number 2 seed from the West. Meanwhile, it's been an up and down year for Davies. They've been blown out by both Bismarck schools. lost by 2 against first-place Cheyenne, and hung up 40-plus points in 4 wins before scoring 33 last night in the win over South. The performances have been a little inconsistent, but head coach Jason Thielge has learned that his team is resilient with how they played last night when they held off a rally from Fargo South.
We talked a lot this week about the true measure of man being you get knocked down, you get back up and fight, you know, and we just talked about fighting this thing out the rest of the year, and I'm real proud of the way they came back, had a great week of practice, and battled hard, and I think they're going to continue to do that the rest of the season.
How much does it mean now to have a shot to host a playoff game?
It's fantastic. I mean, it's our goal. It's no fun going out to Bismarck first round, so that'd be fantastic.
And we have some matchups ready for Class A, guys. Go to the NDHSAA Twitter account. They've been tweeting out all the matchups for Class A and what you'll see in there. 9-man playoffs tomorrow. Great matchup to look for. Cavalier against Mayport CG. That's 3 p.m. at Mayville State. And how about, I want to give a shout out, first playoff game ever for 4 wins. They travel to Oaks tomorrow. So congrats to the Indians on making the playoffs. And boy, congrats on getting to line up against Oaks in the opening round.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Jody. Have a good weekend.
You bet.
All right, guys, back in South Dakota, we had a record-setting performance tonight. I think we're going to start with this with Tupac Capella at Sioux Falls, Washington. A quick setup for this.
He is the all-time leader in 11-man football in rushing touchdowns, and we stayed after the game to make sure we talked to the new record-setting king.
I told myself I was going to break it today. Our O-line told me they're going to help me break it today. The whole team was motivating me the whole time, saying that you're going to break it today. So just stepping on the field, I left everything on the field for my team, my O-line, and our coaches, and broke it for them and broke it for me. Breaking the record is a big part of this game, but at the end of the day, my team helped me do the whole thing. And it feels really great. I gave the ball to a good family friend, the Walkers. They're just big, major part in my high school career right now. They've been helping me since my freshman year. So I just looked for them, and I told Tom, I said, thank you for everything, and I just gave him the ball.
Very cool. All right,
very cool.
62 touchdowns in his career, and still going for Tupac Capella. What else do we have
Chad
here?
Garrow, I think, talked a little bit about his impressive win and what he's got left.
Well, I thought we controlled the line of scrimmage very well. You know, I thought we were pretty good with our run game. Our pass game clicked early, and which it hadn't the last few weeks. We've been more doing some better things in the second half. So I was proud of how we came out in the first half, and we really executed.
All right, Brandon Valley over Yankton tonight, 34-9, and Brandon Valley at 6-2. And one more, Beresford beat Mount Vernon Plankinton tonight.
Huge win for them to knock off the Titans from their undefeated season.
We ran into a reverse situation there that we lost all of our momentum, and then it was we had 28 points at halftime or whatever that was, but it didn't feel that way. They come out and do exactly what we didn't want to do on the first drive, and that was they methodically just kind of shoved it down our throat, and we had no answer. Those 2-point conversions, keeping them out a couple times, was big.
All right, Scott Hebert and Beresford there. Beresford gets to 6-2, and they're going to be formidable going into the playoffs.
Can't wait.
When we get started next week. All right, when we come back, the rundown to finish it up here on Varsity Sports Live. Go to the rundown from this week's games in North Dakota. Davies win over Fargo South 33-14 on Thursday night. Cheyenne
Look at that snow.
is 7-1 after that win in the snow on Thursday night. The big one tonight in North Dakota. Bismarck knocks off Bismarck Century 36-20.
And it wasn't that close.
It was Fargo North getting to 4-4 with a win over Mandan 25-14 tonight. The Squirrels come up a bit short. Bismarck St. Mary's, big win. 14-17 over Central Cass. Fargo Shanley is undefeated at 8-0 after the win over Wahpeton tonight.
Touchdown.
Devils Lake, Jamestown 35-6. Jamestown gets to 5-3.
That was big
on the season. It was Langdon, Edmore, Munich. They are 8-0. Beat Park River tonight 34-0. And in overtime, Bishop Ryan 35-34 over Velva. Back in South Dakota, Roosevelt had to come back after Pierre took the lead And the Riders win it there. O'Gorman, 5 early touchdown passes from Zach Norton, 3 of them to Canyon Bauer, 62-7. O'Gorman over Stevens. Washington, the record-setting night for Tupac Capella. Big night for Jaden Johansson as the guys. And Brandon Valley with that win on the road. The Lynx dangerous going into the final regular season game. They'll be at O'Gorman.
We'll be back here Friday, even though there's games on Thursday, and much more college football tomorrow.
College football starting at 1 o'clock here on Midco Sports Network. UND plays at home, SDSU plays at home, USD plays at home. We've got all 3 of those games here live on Midco Sports Network on Saturday. See you next Friday.
See you next Friday
on Varsity Sports Live.